What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang, coming to you live right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. Another installment of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting, man. Thank you guys for tuning in, as always, on the Wednesday, right here on Coach's Corner Sports Network, man. We got a lot of stuff to go over. A wild race that went down there at Darlington this past Sunday on Mother's Day. Somebody brought home that trophy. Somebody ended up eating a little bit of the wall, but we're going to talk about that as we get into it. But if you tune in all the time, or if it's your first time tuning in, you know how we like to start the show. We're going to start it out with what we call the word of the day. So basically the way we play this is if you're watching, every time I say a certain word tonight, you're going to take a sip of your favorite adult beverage. I always like to say it's age appropriate as well. If you're under the age of 21, you can play along, get an energy drink, sweet tea, Kool-Aid, whatever it may be. It's Wednesday. Stay up a little bit late, raise a little bit of hell there in the household. But Lawrence is going to throw a word up somewhere in time. Last week's word, let's see what it was. Throwback. So it being the throwback weekend there at Darlington, I'm sure I probably said that quite a few times. But there again, like I said, tonight's word is going to be, I have no idea, but Lawrence is going to throw it up there. Every time I say that word, make sure you take a sip and play along, y'all. So getting right into that NASCAR news, man, we'll start it out. We'll go ahead and say Joey Logano wraps it up and takes the win there at Darlington for his first point win of the 2022 season. We saw him win at the Coliseum earlier, but that was just an exhibition race. So he does finally have a point-paying race win under his belt. But it didn't come without a little bit of drama. We're going to be talking about that as we get later on in tonight's show, man. So Kyle Busch, back to the old antics, throwing temper tantrums, man, throwing fits. I'm going to get into this a little bit more later on, but doesn't surprise me, man. No wonder he's having some issues trying to find a sponsor out there. I mean, nobody wants to touch that, man. Justin Marks hopes to turn in laps in that Harry Gant Skull Bandit car. Kind of got shunned down due to federal government's anti-tobacco advertising laws. We weren't able to see that car get out there and turn a single lap during the throwback weekend at Darlington. It is a really, really iconic car. It's a really neat car. I wish something gets figured out there to where maybe on this weekend we can do it, whether they blur out the sponsor, whether they, I don't know, misspell the sponsor, whether they just don't put that sponsor name on it. I don't really know what the answer is to it, but I hope in the future we can kind of get something figured out there. I mean, if we're going to advertise beer, we're going to advertise other things, there again, CBD products, yada, yada. We ought to be able to, at least on the throwback weekend, for a pre-race type thing, be able to run that car. But hopefully it's something they can get figured out, man. William the Kid Byron inks a 3-year deal to lock himself into Hendrick Motorsports. I tell you what, I think that's probably one of the best moves that Hendrick Motorsports could have done. This kid is a phenomenal race car driver. Got a very late start compared to a lot of folks out there, but you're already seeing what kind of talent he has. 2 wins already this season. I think the kid's a phenomenal driver. He's really starting to get some things figured out and what it takes week in to week out to be competitive and be consistent in the sport. So I don't see a better fit in that 24 car than a kid like Willie B. And big shout out, man. I think he's an absolute great fit over there at Hendrick Motorsports, man. Great ambassador, great young driver as well. So keep an eye on him, man. He's going to be moving on up through those ranks. Hey, big shout out. I want to give you guys social media. If you haven't yet, please go out, like, share, follow all our social media. You can find us on Twitter. You can find myself on Twitter. We got YouTube. We've got Instagram. We got Facebook. We've got everything, man. But definitely make sure you guys go out and like and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Lawrence does a great job adding some extra little tidbits into the show we throw up there. It's maybe late Saturday night, most of the time early Sunday morning. It is an awesome show. He does a great job. And like I say, the more followers and subscribers we can get on that, I feel like the more eyes we get on this, which all leads to hopefully more donations to those charitable causes that we do here at Coach's Corner through our Checkered Flag for Charity and different sponsors, man. So I really, really hope you guys like the show enough to go out and subscribe to it, but definitely make sure you check that out on YouTube for sure. So jumping right back into some of that news, man, and this is something that is kind of starting to heat up. Silly season's kind of starting to take effect. I mean, we're a third of the way through the season already. We've got, 24 more point-paying races, 25 when you count the All-Star race. So getting into it, we're getting into that second third of the season, I like to call it. So guys got to start getting some things figured out. They got to start making their moves if they want to, make themselves into that playoff. And I got a feeling that this year is going to be pretty hectic. We've had a lot of winners. We still have a lot of guys out there, big names that haven't got that first win of the season. So I think we might end up with more than 16 winners this year. We're just going to have to keep an eye on it. But replacement drivers, and speaking of, Eric Armarola, we all know he's retiring after this season. This is the last season he's running a full Cup schedule. And who's going to take that car over? I mean, we've got talks of big names like Kyle Busch, not being able to find a sponsor over there at JGR. And we all know that Ty Gibbs is coming up. So who knows? I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they sign him back and he stays at JGR. I think with a guy with Kyle Busch's talent behind the wheel, you definitely have to keep that in your organization. A two-time champion, 60-plus Cup wins. I mean, I think that speaks volumes on his talent behind the wheel. Now, outside of behind the wheel, I don't have really good things to say about him. We're going to touch base, but that is a name that's getting thrown out there. Another name, Stuart Haas has one developmental driver in the Xfinity Series, and that's Riley Earp. So there again, I don't know if he's ready to move up. I haven't really seen the talent out of him in the Xfinity Series to take that next leap and take that next step to go into the Cup Series and be a dominant driver or a good driver. But there again, we've seen it before. Guys can come out there and surprise you. Another name that's getting thrown out there is a guy that I really like in the Xfinity Series. Now, he is a JGR driver. We all know that's kind of Hendrick's farm team down there with Junior Motorsports. They kind of go in with each other, and that's Noah Gragson. Tony Stewart has really taken a liking to Noah Gragson. I have personally too. He's a really aggressive young driver. He really doesn't take any shit. We'll go ahead and get that up here, the swear bucket. Doesn't take any shit from anybody on the track. We've seen him throw it down after a race due to wrecking. We've seen him throw some hands. I think he's an awesome driver. He's got a lot of talent. Now, obviously being in the Hendrick camp and the youth that's in that organization right now, I don't see anywhere for him to move up to anytime in the near future. I mean, Alex Bowman's got some wins. We got Chase Elliott with a win, a champion. He's not going anywhere, I don't feel like. Kyle Larson definitely not going anywhere. William Byron just inks a 3-year deal. So I don't know where he stands as far as being able to move up in that organization. Now, the one outlier in that is Junior Motorsports has talked about starting a Cup Series team. And I feel like if he does that, Noah Gragson is definitely going to be the guy behind the wheel. I think Allgaier's already moved up and kind of had his shot. He fits really well in the Xfinity Series. He races really well there. He's very competitive. I would like to see Noah Gragson at least get the shot to move up. So that is the one outlier there that we're going to have to wait and see if Junior does open up a Cup Series team. We all know it will be funded and in cahoots with Hendrick Motorsports, as we see a lot of these other guys do. Penske with the Wood brothers and, Stuart Haas with a couple of teams, and we got JGR out there doing their thing as well. So there again, it wouldn't surprise me to see Junior open up a team, especially in now's day and age where everything's kind of cost efficient. And if you're going to get in, now's the time to do it. I think it comes down to sponsorship more than it does a driver. But be on the lookout. We're going to have to see who fills in that 10 car next year after Eric Armarola retires. And I think no matter who gets in it, it's a good piece of equipment to jump into. So something to keep an eye out for. Chase Elliott, man, big news coming out. Chase Elliott is set to race in the season-ending finale there for SRX Racing. I tell you, those guys have really put a really cool series together over there. A lot of big-name drivers. We got Bill Elliott, you got Bobby Labonte, you've got all kinds of different big former NASCAR champions and NASCAR drivers that fill in, as well as different dirt guys, as well as open-wheel guys. I tell you what, I'm going to love it. I'm definitely going to be tuning in to watch that when I've watched a couple of them. I think it's an awesome series. It's pretty neat that they put together there. And there again, watching Chase race in it, it just adds a little bit more, aura to it and gives guys another reason to watch it. And big shout out there to SRX Hub too as well, man. They liked the tweet that we were tagged in with our Rubbin' and Grubbin' and myself about the tire issues in NASCAR. So big shout out there to them for liking that and spreading the love, man. I think that's awesome. But definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you tune in and check out at least one SRX race. It is very unique and very cool out there. Really neat series, man. So there again, we're going to move right into that checkered flag for charity. If you guys tune into the show or new, basically what this is the charitable part of the show. John and Adele Henderson allow me to come up and do this show every single Wednesday. They give me the platform up here at Coaches to use to raise money, whether it be charities that they have in mind and things that we're doing for them. This year I've been blessed enough to do it for a personal friend of my family's, mine and my wife's, who passed away unexpectedly and left behind a daughter. It's an educational fund for her, and I tell you what, we have raised a good chunk of money. We're averaging almost $100 a week. So by the end of the season, if we keep this up, we're going to be right around $36,000 to $4,000 just off the race. Stuff that we're doing, not to mention all the patrons at Coach's Corner that has give donations and gone into these charitable events and things we do. We still have a lot coming up in the year. We've got a barbecue competition that's going to go down here in October up here at Coach's. We still got to get a date pegged out, but we're aiming hopefully for the first week. That's got a lot of stuff that goes along with it. It is a cool event we've been doing for the last 3-4 years. And if you haven't ever been involved in one or come up and checked one out, you definitely have to make sure you do it. This will be the first year it's actually going to be held at Coach's, hopefully. We still got to get that lined out. But like I said, and basically what we do for the Checkered Flag for Charity is every single week, whatever car number wins that race, we donate that into the fund. So there again, Joey Logano in the 22 car wins. That's $22 more that we throw into that and into the swear bucket, and that brings our yearly total up to $1,147. Now, we haven't totaled up what we raised off the Cooler Full of Joy last weekend, but I know it was a pretty good little turnout for that show, and this weekend I expect it to be even better. So like I say, if you haven't, please come up, check it out. If you ever come to Coach's, having lunch, having some drinks with some co-workers, bring the family out, and you want to donate to that Checkered Flag for Charity, all you got to do is ask one of your servers, your bartenders. If you see John and Adele Henderson walking in there, man, make sure you stop them. And as I say all the time, it doesn't matter if it's nickels, pennies, dimes, 10, 20s, 150s, whatever you got to give, it definitely will make sure it goes to the right place for that charity. And I tell you what, anything is greatly appreciated, man. Every little bit helps, especially when it all stays local right here in the community, man. So make sure you guys are coming up. Make sure you get a feel good for the day. Give a little bit to charity, man. And thank you to all the patrons of Coach's Corner who do get involved in these charity events. It is greatly, greatly appreciated and does not go unnoticed, y'all. So thanks again. And make sure you come out this weekend. It's going to be an awesome show up here. Hey, like I said, another big shout out there to one of my main sponsors, Arbor Man Tree Service, Mr. Parker Eccles himself. I've known the man pretty much my whole life. He is a brother to me. He has sponsored my show for the last few years. Very charitable guy. He does a lot of things in the community. He does a lot of things up here for us on Rubbin' and Grubbin' here at Coach's, and owns one of the best tree services in Savannah, man. So as I say all the time, if you need some tree service, any kind of tree work done, make sure you give Parker a call over there at Arbor Man. You're going to see that scrolling on the screen all night long during the show. And like I say, it's locally owned, locally operated. Even if you don't know what you need, man, Parker's more than welcome to come out and give you an estimate, let you know, yeah, you could probably slide on this. We need to take care of this. This is looking pretty bad, but it is awesome. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, full tree removal, stump grinding, cutting back some limbs off the house, whatever it may be, Parker's got you covered, man. As I say all the time, no job too big, too small, no tree too tall. Make sure you give Parker a call, y'all. That's what it's all about. And he's lucky enough he gets to sponsor my second favorite part of this show, and that's the who's hot and who's not. So we're definitely going to move into that, and we've got a lot to talk about and a lot to cover on this. I tell you guys, it was a wild, wild race there at Darlington this weekend. A lot of guys got hot in multiple different ways, not even on the racetrack, some a little bit after that race. And there's quite a few guys that ended up on this not list for me this week as well. If you watch the race, you see the hat I got on, you know who I'm supporting in that little scrimmage, which we're going to talk about here in just a few, man. But remaining on that top spot on the Who's Hot, come on, man. You know it's my main man, Chase Elliott, man. Little Bill out here killing things this year, man. Another top 5 finish. Had to start at the rear from a mishap in practice. Had to go to a backup car. The man drove that thing all the way up through the field to get another top 5. Leading the regular season points, leading the playoff points. This man is putting every other driver on notice in the sport right now, saying, I'm here, man, and it's going to be his year. I told you last week, I called it out. It is a championship feel for this guy right now. He is finishing inside that top 5, top 7 every single week. He's got to win. I'm not going to say he's locked in, but he's locked in, man. I'm telling you right now, he is locked in. And it's something else I kind of want to talk about. There's a site out there, I'm not going to mention it, but every time somebody wins, they say they're not locked in. And you're right. Statistically, things could happen, and a lot of these guys with wins might not be locked in, kind of like a Denny Hamlin. Got a win at Richmond, but he's 22nd in points. I don't think he's locked in if we get past 16 drivers. But a Joey Logano sitting in 4th place, a Chase Elliott sitting in 1st place, they're locked in, man. I don't care what happens. Unless they DNF, they do not finish the races for about 10 in a row. Them guys are locked in, man. So, but anyways, like I said, Chase Elliott, my main man, locking down and holding down that #1 spot on the Who's Hot list, man. If you don't have a favorite driver, you better get on the bandwagon with the other 85% of NASCAR fans out there, man. I've known about this kid since he was a little itty-bitty kid, and I tell you what, he's awesome as a driver. He's an awesome piece of history going to be made there in NASCAR. You're going to be hearing that name for many years to come, man. Another guy making that hot list. And it's another Hendrick driver, man. You see the car number right up here on my hat. That's going to be Willie B, man, a.k.a. William the Kid Byron, as I like to call him. He doesn't like being called Billy, so I'm going to call him William the Kid. The man is on fire right now. First multi-time winner in the sport this season. He locked it down there, getting that second win in Atlanta. He's only doing bigger and better things. He's becoming more consistent every single week. They are bringing some amazing equipment to these races, and I'm telling you, he is the first of the next generation of style of race car driver. This kid didn't even get behind the wheel until he was a later teenager, man. Sim racing is what he did a lot of. Simulation is a huge part of this sport now. It has grown into being something that every single driver needs to and has to do to be successful. So I'm telling you, William the Kid Byron is the one setting that trend. He's the one starting that trend. He's going to be the one that shows people what it's all about. But I tell you, the kid's on a mission, man. Just inked that 3-year deal, like I said. He is a very strong staple, probably driving one of the most iconic cars in the sport in that Hendrick camp in the 24. Make sure you keep an eye out on William the Kid, man. That is one of my wife's favorite drivers as well. So we kind of got that Hendrick camp locked down throughout the Bain household, man. But I'm telling you right now, be on the lookout for William Byron to win more races this year. You want to give an over-under on William Byron? I said I think my over-under on Chase. I think I said Chase is going to win 4 or 5 races this year. He's got a little bit of work to do, but I'm going to say William Byron probably going to be right around 4 to 5 as well. I mean, I just see this kid with tracks coming up. Got a lot of potential to go out and win. A lot of tracks they run good at. Wouldn't surprise me to see him turn around and there again, maybe be that first back-to-back weekend winner. I mean, he didn't win last weekend at Darlington. We're going to touch base on that a little bit, but he probably should have, man. He's going to be the first guy to win 3 this year, man. So be on the lookout for William Byron. Christopher Bell, man, I tell you what, this kid doesn't get enough credit and doesn't get enough time talked about. He came back there at Darlington to have a 6th place finish. He ran pretty much top 10 all day long. He drives a really good piece of equipment over there in JGR camp. He is an awesome driver. I mean, he goes back and forth with Kyle Larson on dirt at the Chili Bowl and different races all year long. He has a super amount of talent. He is becoming consistent week in and week out inside that top 10, top 7 drivers. There again, got some tracks that 20 car throughout history has ran good at. I think if Christopher Bell can keep his nose clean, stay out of trouble, no penalties on pit road, no kind of stuff like that, no mishaps, he's going to come back strong, man. He's going to get a race win here in the very near future. There's quite a few guys out there that are due for a win, but Christopher Bell is going to make that hot list this week. He is going to get a win here in the next few races. Mark my words, man. Moving into that who's not, man, I hate to do it. And it's got to be Kyle Larson going to take it, man. And not necessarily for the equipment he's bringing and what's happening, but it's what's not happening. I mean, we saw him 2 weeks in a row. We saw him at Dover, up front, spin that car out. Here we go into Darlington again. We see him up front racing Kyle Busch there for that lead. We all know Darlington's hectic on that inside, especially through turn 2, man. He lost it, got loose, ruined his day. Came back from that. They don't know if it is when he spun the tires backwards in it. We don't know what it was, but the engine ended up failing on him. There again, 2 weeks back-to-back, having really, really fast race cars, but just making mishaps behind that wheel. I think you already know he's going to get it figured out. He's going to go out here and get a win. They got him favored this week. Would not surprise me to see him go out and get a win. We'll have to see if he makes that #1 spot on my top 5 to win here coming up at Kansas this weekend. But I tell you what, it ain't going to be Toto. But it might be Kyle Larson in that #1 spot. So we're going to have to find out. But for this week, he's on that not list, man. Now, this is where we start getting into the goods and the nitty-gritty of it all on this who's not list. I'm going to tell you that right now. Kyle LaDouche Busch. He definitely makes that cold list this week, y'all. Matter of fact, I don't even want to look at this right now. Congratulations on the kid. I will give him congratulations. He did have his daughter was born. Congratulations on that. And it's never personal with me, but it's a little personal now, man. This guy is probably one of the most talented drivers we've seen in the last 2 decades come out of NASCAR. I mean, he's pretty much done everything that you can ask of somebody behind the wheel of a race car. Now, this is where I have my issue with him. Not only do you have a son that races, and there again, I don't know his relationship with him. I don't know him personally. I don't know how he acts towards family and friends and this and that. I mean, I don't know, so I'm not going to down him on that. But you have the most kid-friendly sponsor in M&M's Mars Candy. One of them, man, and they're leaving after this year. We get it. But you have one of the most kid-friendly sponsors, and you still have not learned how to be a professional, sometimes behind the wheel and definitely behind the camera. He has not learned how to be a professional yet, man. There is no, hey, guess what? Today wasn't our day. Big shout out to M&M Mars. Thanks for sponsoring the car. Thanks to Interstate Battery. Thank you guys. Just wasn't our day. We'll come back and get them next week. There is none of that. And I know he's a competitor. I know he's very competitive. I know how it is to be competitive. I hate to lose. I hated to lose in baseball my whole life. I hated it. It was worse. But it motivates you. And you still got to be a professional when the spotlight's on you, man. How many young kids look up to you because you drive the M&M car and you're acting like a douche? And I'll throw $1 in there. It's not really a cuss word, but I'll throw $1 in there in case kids are watching my show. But at the end of the day, man, he's got to get it together. And maybe it's just his personality. Maybe he's just burned out. I don't really know what it is. But at the end of the day, man, he has got to get it figured out. He's got to learn to be a little bit more professional behind that camera. Some guys out there like it. It's never been my cup of tea as far as a driver goes. But at the end of the day, you're hurting a lot of little kids' feelings and teaching a lot of little kids bad antics out there to not be a professional and not be humble when you don't win, man. So always be humble. We'll put you back up on the table, but you're going to stay upside down so you get some good positivity going over there, man. All right. So this is another thing I put on this Who's Not list, and this is something that's been rotating around for the last couple weeks. And this comes down to people talking about shortening NASCAR races. And this isn't the first time we've talked about it. This has been going around the sport for many, many years. We get into these summer months, car temperatures exceed 140 plus degrees inside that car. And I will say this, I don't believe at all that any of these races should ever be shortened, period. 400 to 500 miles is what we run. And this is why. These are trained athletes. People don't give these guys enough credit. The good old days of these guys going out and drinking beer all night Saturday night, overweight guys getting in behind that wheel of the car and driving, those days are done. These are athletes. These guys train. They are in that car between 3 to 4 hours in temperatures of 140 plus degrees, pulling G-forces. I mean, I'm telling you right now, they are athletes. They train for this. So when people talk about shortening races, you're taking an aspect out of the race. Not only are you taking out the athleticism behind the wheel, you're also taking out what these engineers do technological-wise and mechanically to build these race cars to run 500 miles, pulling 8,800, 9,000 RPMs constantly. That is part of this sport. That is what these guys get paid to do. These engineers are paid to figure out ways not only to make this car go fast, not only ways to make this car sit into the racetrack, they are paid to make this car last 500 miles. And we've got one of the best and longest races coming up this year, coming up here at the end of the month in the Coca-Cola 600. It's 600 miles, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I don't want to see it. I don't care anything about longevity for the drivers. I don't care anything about race fans that are bored for 3.5 hours. If you're bored, turn it off, tune it back in the last stage. We have stage racing. They get cautions. They get 3 cautions now. There's races I've seen in Atlanta that went 1 caution in 325 laps. Man, these guys got to breathe 1 time on pit road. We get a little break now. They can come down. They can change that water bottle out. They can do different things. The technology alone in these cars, yeah, it's still hot as hell. I give you that. It is still hot as hell in those cars. But the technology that we have learned, not only through the suits and the different systems they have, but also the ventilation. And with this next-gen car, it's supposed to be cooler from the floor up. You don't catch as much heat. We've made advances in to help these drivers stay cooler for a little bit longer. So at the end of the day, like I said, I think it's something that should stay 400 to 500, miles everywhere we go. We've got more night races now than we've ever had in the sport. We've got different things throughout different parts of the season. I just think there again, it makes the sport what it is. I don't ever want to see NASCAR shorten races at all, point blank, period. So that's definitely on that not list. All right, now we get into the real goods right here, and this is the Joey Logano and the William Byron. I'm going to tell you right now, Joey Logano is on my not list, man. And it has nothing to do with him taking them out, all right? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with just the comments of William Byron put him in the wall, and that's what led him to do that. If you're going to do it, man, just be honest and say you did it. Earnhardt Sr. never sit there and said, oh, well, he did it to me, I'm going to do it back to him. No, he pretty much just did it and then just said, hey, this is what it is. At the end of the day, I tried. It's a win. It's for the Checkers. I get it, man. And we're going to talk about that in another segment. But at the end of the day, Joey Logano saying, William Byron put him in the wall. William Byron raced him very tight. And we all know in this next-gen car and even last year's generation car, man, we all know that side drafting is a huge key, and those restarts are huge. So maybe Byron lost it a little bit, but he never touched him. He never pushed him into that wall. He got very close. He did. He got very close. And Logano scraped it just a little bit, along with 33 other guys at Darlington, man. They call it the lady in black and getting that Darlington stripe for a reason. By the end of the race, the wall is black. It's got a black stripe all the way around the racetrack, man. That's part of it. So I don't want to hear any excuses out of Joey. All I want him to do is man up and say, yeah, I did it, and that's what it is. Not you put me in the wall and don't think you're going to get payback. But anyways, we're going to talk some more about some of that in just a little bit, y'all. So moving right into that Darlington recap, as I already said it once, Joey Logano comes home, brings home the Checkers at Darlington. I tell you what, after losing that lead to William Byron there on a restart, he tracked him back down, man. He ran him back down. I don't think he had to take him out the way he did. They had one more lap to go. I think that next set of turns, he was going to hit the slide job on him either way. Byron seemed like the rear end of that car started getting loose. He burned the tires up maybe a little bit too early. I feel like Logano had him beat either way. Now, there again, if Byron would have thrown the block on him, a big-time block, I wouldn't have been upset that it happened that way. But I am a little upset Joey just drove through him. But at the end of the day, he came home with that checkered flag there at Darlington, and you better expect at some point in time in this season, whether it's this next week here at Kansas or whether it's when it really counts in those playoffs, in my eyes, in Jeff Gordon's eyes, and a lot of people in that Hendrick camp, William Byron owes Joey Logano one. So be careful what you ask for, man. You might just get it back. A lot of guys had trouble at Darlington, man. We saw Ross Chastain there, on a restart, driving on the inside there, getting loose and pretty much ruining his day, man. Took himself out of contention, had a really good race car there at Darlington. Might even contended for that win late, who knows. But at the end of the day, had some trouble, took himself out. Another guy, man. I said it earlier, Kyle Larson. There again, Kyle Larson had some issues on the inside, which is hectic at Darlington. Lost control of the car. That necessarily didn't take him out. Engine trouble did, but at the end of the day, he did lose it. Martin Truex Jr., another restart on the inside, washed up pretty hard, got forced 3 wide there, lost control of it, took out a lot of good race cars, man. I felt real bad for Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace there. I tell you, both of them were inside that top 10, definitely had top 10 finishing race cars, and it seems like week in and week out, that's kind of the story there at 23-11. Both of those guys are running really, really good there towards the middle to end of those races and just not getting the finishes. I think that if they keep bringing that equipment, they keep bringing fast cars, it's only a matter of time before the ball starts rolling, the coin flips in their favor, and especially for Bubba Wallace and Kurt Busch. You got an old, Cup champion there and a veteran. You got a young guy that's up and coming. They got really good equipment, man. They are JGR affiliated. We know Gibb shares a little bit of information with them as Denny Hamlin being partial owner of that team. They got big sponsorship. Those guys are going to have some race wins coming up. If they keep running the way they're running, one of them, if not both of them, are going to have a race win by the time this season's over. So keep an eye out on that, man. Hey, a couple big shout-outs, man, to Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell there. Those are my dark horse picks last week. Tyler Reddick ends up finishing second. I'm telling you, man, that kid's on fire. He is going to get a race win. He has a little bit of inconsistency problems. I don't think that they necessarily bring it every single week the way they should, but I tell you what, leaps and bounds are being made over there at RCR and Childress Racing. I know Tyler Reddick is a very good, talented young driver. He is going to get some wins, man. I thought it might come here at Darlington if Byron would have just maybe clipped Logano there at that last little incident, I think Tyler Reddick would have snuck by and got that win, but he finished second. And there again, like I said, Christopher Bell coming home with a 6th place finish. Both these guys are winless in the 2022 season. I think both of them are people you got to keep an eye out for. Both of them are guys that I think are going to end up with a checkered flag and in victory lane this year. So make sure you're watching out for the 8 and the 20 car to end up with a checkered and a win this year in 2022, man. So moving right in, we're moving into one of my favorite racetracks, man. I tell you what, Kansas is awesome. Used to go to this race every year with family. My grandma, my dad, my mom, my uncles, my great uncles, family, everybody. I have an uncle and an aunt that did not live far from this race at all. It is one of the coolest spots and coolest ways I ever got to watch a race. We actually got to sit right on the terrace on the top of turns 3 and 4. It was awesome, awesome racetrack. We would drive there during the day, turn around and go back to my uncle's house at night and have a blast. And I tell you, it's something I miss, but it was an awesome, awesome race. And this was before they did the reconfiguration in 2012 and made that progressive banking. I tell you, the progressive banking to me is one of the coolest things that NASCAR did at some of these 1.5-mile tracks. It opens up the racing. It opens up different lanes for these guys to use. And we all know as the day goes on, that top groove really comes in. They cut that apron. They get a lot of big runs coming down that front stretch. It is just an awesome racetrack there again at Kansas and a great show they put on. They built an amazing facility around that racetrack from different food venues to casinos right down the road. I tell you what, Kansas is an awesome race. So if you got a chance to go out and check it out, make sure you show up and go check it out, man. Top 5s. This is really hard. This is probably one of the hardest seasons since I've been doing this show to actually lock down a top 5, and we're kind of getting a little bit more of a groove of it. It's going to be a lot plus, press repeat every single week for a while, just because a lot of these guys are running really good and consistently. But I will tell you, I had to go with the Vegas odds this week, and Kyle Larson does lock down that #1 spot for me, man. Like I said, I think coming into this point last year, I think we were watching him try to go for a three-win race win streak, or maybe it was 4. But I know by this point he already had a few race wins. So there again, I think it's something that we got to look out for. The 1.5-mile program for Hendrick has struggled in the past few years. Up to last year, watching Kyle Larson just absolutely dominate. But there again, this year's a new ball game, new car. But I think he's got a great shot to go out and get it done. So I'll take him #1 on my list. 2 for me. Another guy there again, consistency is definitely paying off. He's leading both sides of the point. It's my man, Chase Elliott. I got to take him. Eventually, he's going to start locking in more than just one win if he keeps putting himself in the top 5. I say it all the time. The guy, to me, is a Jeff Gordon S-type driver, not only for the way he carries himself on and off the racetrack, but just the cerebral that he has, the cerebral awareness throughout that race, how to plan for the race, how to run the car. You don't run your equipment up and burn it up in that first stage. You plan it out. You wait till the end. And it seems like at the end of these races, he's got himself in the top 5, top 3, looking for that win, man. So be on the lookout for that 9 car to do big things at Kansas again this weekend, y'all. 3 for me. Even though he's flipped upside down on the table and he's had, some issues, I tell you what, Kyle Busch he's got it figured out, man. He's got this new car figured out. Had the lead there at Darlington, was running really, really good there. We saw him at Dover get caught up in a late caution. Might have probably had a win there as well. So this week, it wasn't any of his doing. It was definitely Brad Keselowski lost control and he had nowhere to go. Clipped the tire, and the weak point on these next-gen cars is that tire rod that holds it together. So I tell you what, not any of his doing, but he has a pretty good track record there at Kansas, so I'll take him 3 on that list. And just want to touch base on something else. He should have pulled the damn car into the garage area. I couldn't make the turn my ass. I am going to say that. That's some BS because he made every single one he needed to get it to that point. He definitely could have got the car in the garage area, and that's another thing about throwing fits and tantrums, man. But I'm not going to mess with him no more. We'll see if he can recover here on rubbing and grubbing and get himself back in good graces with me. But until then, he will remain upside down on this table. 4 for me, another guy who made the not list, and that's Joey Logano. We've seen in history past, he's got some wins there at Kansas. He's got it pretty much, I'm not going to say the best running car, but he's got the win there, and Ryan Blaney doesn't yet for Penske. So there again, coming into a really good racetrack for him. I think that Logano could easily go out and win back-to-back weekends. I don't know if Byron's going to have any kind of retaliation. I feel like if we get late in that race and he's got a shot to do the same thing to him that he did, I'd be on the lookout for him, but we'll just have to see what Willie does. And at the end of the day, yeah, the blue oval. Lawrence is holding up the oval. I'm not a Ford fan, but at the end of the day, we'll see if Logano can come back and get another race win, man. 5 for me. The other half of that equation, William Byron. There again, I think this kid is heating up. He's getting hot. He's already got a couple wins this year. Seems like when we go places, if he's on, he's up front in the top 3 running, and he's got some really dominant race cars. Led a lot of laps. So we're just going to have to see if he can lock it down. I'm pretty sure Byron's led the most laps in the series up to this point this year, and I'm pretty sure it's by a pretty good little amount there. I have to go back and look at that, and I'm sorry if I misspoke, but I'm pretty sure he's got the most laps led this season. So definitely make sure you keep an eye out there on that 24 car and Willie B, because the man's got some talent. There again, could easily come home and get the third checkered flag of the season, bringing home another trophy in that Hendrick camp. So be on the lookout. Dark horses, it's not going to really change from last week. I'm going to take one, Tyler Reddick. I think there again, I think we're talking about a racetrack that as that day goes on, that top is going to come in. He's one of two guys in this sport that run that top line better than anybody. I think if he can keep the tires on it, if we don't see real high tire wear there at Kansas, and he can keep the tires on it late and run that high groove, I think he might have something for him there towards the end of that race. The other half of that dark horse is really not that dark. The guy's been heating up as of late. He's got a couple top tens, and he's ran good at Kansas before. It's going to be the 4 of Kevin Harvick, man. I think, Happy could go out there and have a really good run and maybe break that winless streak. I mean, it's got to happen. I'm hoping it happens for him. I don't want to see him go out like some other guys that retired, and he's not retiring yet, but I don't want to see him go on a really strong winless streak. It's been long enough. I think Kansas is somewhere he might be able to go out and get it done. So we'll have to see if old Happy Harvick in that 4 car for Stewart Haas can go down and lock that first win in a couple seasons, man. Money bet. This is what's even more difficult right here, man, because this is for the goods. And I tell you what, we were really close last week there, man. I had Willie B top 3. Didn't end that way. Finished 13th there. But at the end of the day, we're just going to have to see what he can do. We're going to have to see who it is. But this week, I tell you, man, the odds are so tight through the first 8 to 9 guys. It's really, who are you going to put the money on to go out and get the win? Who's the best value out there? And I look at Ross Chastain, already got a couple wins. There again, I think had a really strong run there at Dover. He's had a really strong run last week going at Darlington before he kind of took himself out. So I expect the same coming into Kansas. Until he starts bringing some cars that just don't run good, I think that he's a guy that you have to consider for a win every single week. So I'll put the money on Ross Chastain this weekend for a win. I think if you're going a little bit down there and you want a little bit of a bigger payout for what you're betting, I think, again, Tyler Reddick is a good bet. I think this racetrack fits his driving style. And there again, if you see it, Willie B, man, William Byron, another guy. The odds aren't too great this week, but he's bringing the thunder, man. I mean, it's somebody that could go out and win you a little bit of change. It's never bad. It's always about winning something. Don't care if it's $1 or $100. It's just about winning something profitable. So keep a lookout on that, man. And there again, if you just want to try to make a little change, Kyle Larson for a win as well. But we'll see what we lock down here on Rubbing and Grubbing. Me and Lawrence got to, go through our brains a little bit and strategize and see what we can come up with and see what we lock down. But definitely keep an eye on those drivers out there if you're looking to make a little bit of change this weekend. Hey, getting right into it, like I said, got to talk about the newest sponsor here on Rubbing and Grubbing, and that's Lamar's Body Shop. And there's not a better sponsor than to sponsor the Hard Right Turn than Lamar. Locally owned and operated in the Savannah area for over 35 years, man. Right up here off Skidaway Road. It's right down the road from Coach's Corner. I tell you what, Lamar and his team do an amazing job. I personally had family get cars fixed by them, and they come out flawless and spotless every time. So it doesn't matter if you're looking for paint, looking for some body work, man. You need that good insurance quote for them pesky insurance companies, because we all know you gotta go through a mile just to get a quote. You got to go through a mile just to get them to start getting your stuff fixed up. But at the end of the day, if you need that done, Lamar's Body Shop is the place to go get it done, man. And thank you, brother, for what you do for us. And I'm glad you're on the team here on Rubbing and Grubbing, man. So you'll see that number scrolling as well up there. So like I say, anything auto body wise you need taken care of, make sure you give Lamar and his team up there a call and go get it done, man. Thank you, brother. But moving right into that hard right turn, this is something I kind of like to talk about. Sometimes it fits with racing. Sometimes it fits with other aspect of it. And this one is, all is fair on the final lap and no more Mr. Nice Guy, right? That's the question I'm asking tonight. So over the past, we'll say, a couple seasons, honestly, we've seen a lot of these drivers just get more and more and more aggressive. And not that it's not something we haven't ever seen in the sport. We saw Senior do it quite often. We've seen Jeff Gordon do it for quite a few times. We've seen Rusty Wallace do it. We saw a lot of guys do it back in the day. I mean, it's just part of the sport, right? If you got a chance to go out and win a race, it's not easy to win these things. So you're going to do anything and everything that you can, because the only people you honestly care about is your team. Now, like I said, with that being said, retaliation is part of this equation. But with this next-gen car and the talent pool only being deeper in the sport than we've ever seen. I mean, these guys are young. These guys don't care. They are here to get the wins. It is tough to get a win. We went from maybe 10 guys back in my heyday of watching it when I was growing up, mid-90s, later 90s. Now we're up to, who knows, 16, 17, 18, maybe even 20 guys when you factor in everybody that can go out there and win a race. And when you have the opportunity to, you've got to take it. So that's why I said I'm not too upset with Joey Logano. I think the way he went about it, I don't think that was necessarily something you had to do. I think he had him beat either way. But at the end of the day, it's just something that we're getting used to. I think it's a new norm in the sport. I think that these guys are very, very aggressive. I mean, we saw Ross Chastain do it this year at Circuits of the Americas. I mean, we've seen, different guys do it. We even saw teammates in Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson kind of, get into it a little bit. I think that was more of an accidental thing, but it was definitely for a win. I feel like if Chase would have got clear there, he definitely probably went on and win that race there. So just something else you got to get used to. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it necessarily being like that. In my day, it was more of that for real bump and run, not driving through somebody's rear bumper. But I get it. We've all got our own, things we got to do. We're going out to win for our sponsors. We're going out to win for our teams. We're going out to win for our crew members, man. This is a team sport. People forget it's not just an organization. It's individual teams. You might have 4 teams in an organization that all race for the same owner, but they're racing for individual teams. So it's definitely something we got to keep an eye on. I think it's something that's only going to happen more and more and more as the season goes on and we get down to the nitty-gritty of this chase, of the playoffs. I think you're going to see more guys getting more aggressive and not taking anything. But like I said, the backside of that is there is retaliation. And now when you got guys that hold on and they don't forget, drivers don't forget. So when we get late in this season and you get into those playoffs and we're into a cutoff race for whether it's a round of 16 or round of 12 and you're winless and you might be sitting in 8th place going to make that cut, Joey Logano, and William Byron decides, hey, bro, it's time to take you out. And when he retaliates and you go from 8th to 13th and you miss, you can't be upset, man. You cannot be upset with anybody but yourself for driving through them here at Darlington. So just remember that, man. But I just would love to get you guys' opinion. If you're watching, make sure you drop some comments in there, man. If you watch on Sundays on that YouTube channel, make sure you write little comments on there and let me know what you think about, the new bump and run or the new aggressiveness of these young drivers out here. Fair on the final lap or not, man? So that's going to wrap it up there for the rubbing part. We're moving right on into the grubbing. I don't even know what we're grubbing on tonight. It looks delicious, whatever it is. As I always say, there's nothing that comes out of this kitchen here at Coach's that isn't good. I promise you that. I've had everything on this menu numerous times. I've even had specialty items, just making them up in the head, and they'll cook the order in that way, man. They are awesome. Oh, man. This is one of my all-time favorites. This is the Gator Bait. So you can get it all kinds of different ways. Grilled chicken, you got all kinds of different cheese options. You got all kinds of veggie options. I love to get mine buffaloed as hot as they make it in here, dip it in some ranch. I love to throw cheese. My wife, on the other hand, when she does it, she does grilled chicken and feta. That's one of her favorites. But I tell you, this is an awesome, awesome menu item here at Coach's Corner. So if you've never had it and you've been up to Coach's before, make sure you grab a hold of a Gator Bait, man. I'm getting ready to tear into this thing as soon as we get off. I had a long day and I'm very hungry, y'all. All right, man. So do want to give a big shout out there again to 104.3 ESPN Green, White, Checkered, Mr. PJ Zuko himself. If you haven't yet, PJ and myself do a show every single Sunday morning, 9 to 9:30, right there on 104.3 ESPN Coastal. If you can't catch it on the radio, you can tune in to 104.3 ESPN Coastal's Facebook. You can stream it there. PJ does an amazing job putting on this show. It's a little bit more refined than what we do here on Rubbin' and Grubbin'. If you guys watch, you know usually I'm drinking some beer. I'm kind of on a hiatus right now drinking cold beer, but you can guarantee when the summer months hit and I'm up here, I'm going to be drinking some Bud Lights. I can promise you that. I love hearing them Clydesdale run, man. So you definitely going to be seeing me with some Bud Lights as we get on into the season. But I am on a little hiatus right now. But definitely make sure you check that out if you haven't yet. 9 to 9:30 every single Sunday, 104.3 ESPN Coastal. Like I said, PJ Zuko and myself breaking down everything NASCAR, that getting you caught up, hyped up, and ready for that race, man. And we're going to have a good one going on this weekend at Kansas, especially after that Darlington throwback weekend for sure, man. Do got to give another big shout out to one of our biggest people right here, and that's Mr. Michael Carter, man. Michael Carter races in the Mazda MX Cup Series in the ISMA, racing in Mid-Ohio sports car course this weekend, Saturday at 12 and Sunday at 11:05. You can catch both of those races right here at Coach's Corner. They always stream those races for you. Michael Carter is an awesome dude. Hopefully, once he gets done with the season or sometime when he's back down home, I can get him up here on Rubbin' and Grubbin', and we can shoot the stuff about what he's got going on. And Coach's Corner actually sponsors a little part of that car, man. So, as I always say, if there's any local business out there, anybody watching, you want to sponsor somebody on a race team, make sure you give Michael Carter Enterprises a call over there. I'm sure they'd be glad to work something out with you. He is an awesome race car driver. I'm telling you right now, I always say it, if there's a truck series team out there looking for a guy to run a road course, you might want to give Michael Carter a call, man. Savannah area native. I'm telling you, the kid's got some skills, man. But be on the lookout for him this Saturday and Sunday in that MX-5 Cup Series racing those Mazdas, man. Kid's pretty legit. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. I want to give a big shout out to all the coaches shows right here on Coach's Corner Sports Network. Coach Carl DeMassi's back with that midweek baseball show, Who's on First Base, him and Kyle Lawson breaking it down. I think they dropped a brand new episode last night. You can check that out. The man knows his stuff. They both do about baseball, man. They're getting you everything caught up Major League-wise that you need to know, who's hot, who's not, where the Braves are headed, where the Cubs are headed, where Boston's headed. I mean, they keep you up to date on everything, man, and where the sport's going in general. So make sure you tune into that. You can also catch Coach Carl's sports report, breaking down all live local sports right here on Saturday mornings at Coach's Corner. That thing has been going on for years. Coach is an amazing dude, knows a lot of good stuff, and can't wait to see what he's got going on this weekend and tonight here coming up in baseball. So got to make sure you check those shows out. Got to give a big shout out there to Travis and Spencer out there with Hot Grits. You can stream that podcast anywhere you stream your podcast. I think they drop a new episode, was it, Lawrence, every Tuesday? Every Tuesday they drop that new episode, man, so make sure you tune in and check that out. Those guys breaking down all kinds of national sports stuff. They are funny, man. They're giving betting lines on what you should bet on, what you shouldn't, who's hot, who's not. Man, I tell you what, those guys are awesome. They do an amazing show, man. And again, I'm still trying to talk the Erb brothers into getting up here and doing some stuff for the majors here in golf. But if you hadn't seen it yet, make sure you go check out that 19th hole on YouTube. It is probably one of the craziest golf shows you're ever going to see in your life. Craziest show, period, man. But they do a great job. Trying to get them up here on the weekends. We're going to find out if Sean will get up here and break down a couple rounds of golf, at least break down a Saturday round and give some picks heading into Sunday on who they think's going to win. I think it'd be awesome, man. But thank you guys for tuning into the shows right here on Coach's Corner Sports Network. Want to give another big shout out there to John and Adele Henderson for everything they do for us and everything they do for the city and the patrons here at Coach's Corner. Two of the most hospitable people you're ever going to meet in your life. They do a lot of big things with their partnerships up here for a lot of local charities. Man, I'm telling you right now, these people are awesome humanitarians, man. So make sure you come up and support that local business right here in Thunderbolt, Georgia at Coach's Corner. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. I really appreciate all the love you guys show. Make sure you tune in every single Wednesday, 6 until I run out of stuff to talk about, or breath, which if anybody watches the show, you know I never run out of breath, man. So thank you guys for tuning in. As I always say, make sure you enjoy your week. Always hug your loved ones out there, man. Tomorrow's not given. That's one of the most important things to me is family. And I touched base on this last week. Mayor Van Johnson, we got to get this together, man. There's way too many youth and way too much gun violence going down in the city right now. I don't know what the answer is for it, but we got to come together as communities, guys, and get this figured out, man, and find out some better ways to deal with our anger and deal with our problems than just pulling out a gun and shooting some folks, man, because it ain't going down good. Savannah's a hostess city. It's a city of love, man. Let's love each other, y'all. But, hey, until next time, as always, stay safe. Bam. Wash your hands, y'all. Love y'all, man. All right. So want to give a big thanks and shout out to everybody that came out and supported last weekend here for the Leonard Skinner Freebird tribute, man. Man, we did a cooler full of joy as we do it. A lot of folks got in, and I do want to say thank you to everybody that donated into our charitable cause for the season. We got another big show coming up this weekend. We're going to be doing another cooler full of joy with a couple little added bonuses in there in this one. So make sure you come out and make sure you get in on it. You can go home with a great cooler and some really cool stuff inside that cooler, man.